Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the underdog Protoss in the red. From Germany, it's D Mauer, the Wall, Showtime. Up against his Korean counterpart in the blue, we have SHIN. A best of 7 Protoss versus Zerg grand finals to determine who will be the last players to qualify for the Esports World Cup in a $1 million prize pool next month. And just showing up after qualifying get you $15,000. So not a bad day at the office. And not a bad way to spend your day indeed. Hopefully, just like watching these videos. And if you think so, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. And Jimmy, what are we... Quickly, 1,367 likes on this video, on this cast. I'm very excited for this one. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I would do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Many of the players you know, and, well, arguably love, and also Dark, have already qualified. Cyril, Clem, Dark, Maru, Hero. But there's still a couple slots left. And I'll be honest, Showtime and SHIN are definitely on the short list, but I didn't quite expect them to be the two fighting for this last set of spots. So, well, I don't know who's I don't know if these two have ever faced in a relatively high-profile match. I would put their styles as almost polar opposites. SHIN with reckless aggression, and Showtime is nicknamed the Wall. So I'll let you take some, do a little bit of critical thinking on that one. Starting things off, though, I didn't even mention the gold base taken on the outside here on Dynasty is SHIN, making sure that it's actually harder to defend from the inside than out. As Adepts, Stalkers, even Oracles on the other side, he's just going to slap a layer down there. Sure, why not? Meanwhile, Showtime has taken his gold base, but he's already established the natural. This map always creates some awkward scenarios compared to your average standard cookie cutter reskin 478 times over sort of map, but the Oracles will help Showtime keep tabs of things, and he hasn't committed to any other tech behind. Meanwhile, SHIN has plenty of queens, which he's still building more and more. 2 at a time, which is starting to get a little bit suspicious. As usually when you take that outer gold, you're not looking for really a long-term scenario, but instead using it as a place to leapfrog into some sort of attack. SHIN is actually supply blocked, though. Lost the Overlord at the front, popping out a couple more. Oracles come in, get 4 drone kills, and the shady bunch of Adepts scouts the lair. Because for some reason, SHIN decided to put it on the low ground there. A Hydralisk Den? A Hydralisk Den? Okay. So, many times the follow-up is Blinkstalkers. The Oracles come around. The Triumvirate, more than enough to keep those Adepts alive. You've got a very technical setup here with the Oracles overhead protecting the Adepts, but forcing a response out of Zerg. Look at the drone count. 53 probes to 52 drones. Can't really abuse that extra larva when you have to put it into the Zerglings. Gets 3 drone kills. Looking for more. SHIN actually just kind of feeding the drones. Still in Adept range here. Kind of surprised it didn't do more with it. But he gets it to the main mineral line. And now SHIN, in a prison of his own design. Those Adepts are just jammed into the corner. Showtime. Well, it's time to show everyone that he's not taking this SHIN anymore. Hydras pop out, but he's already lost 10 drones. There's 6 more gateways on the way. The Oracle's gonna get poked by the Hydras well before they're within deadly range. And Showtime should be fully operational by the time this Hydra all-in arrives. He's building well, he does have a forge. Kind of surprised to see no cannons, but shield batteries all over the place. SHIN is only at 50 drones. He has to attack. That's it. Like, he does not have the economy. Showtime is putting up his defenses, because your defensive does not mean you're passive, as we've already seen. Showtime has not built a probe for a couple minutes now, really since he started doing damage with the Adepts and realized, you know what? This is looking good for me. I just need to make sure I don't die. Oh, Shin. Oh, he noticed at the last second. Only 4 Hydras caught, but still a significant percentage of the army. +1 is done. Second stasis, but the Hydras, the charge lots are coming in. He doesn't have Hydra speed. Oh, getting sliced to pieces into itty-bitty Zerg bits. Bite size, you might say, if you weren't Protoss and didn't have a mouth. So, wow. Showtime eviscerating the Zerg. And SHIN has to tuck his oversized Hydra tail between his non-existent Hydra legs. And, well, actually, none of them get home. No one gets home. Back at home, there are some more Hydras, some more Lings. I'm not sure what SHIN meant to accomplish. I'm not entirely convinced SHIN knew what SHIN meant to accomplish. But Showtime is in pole position in game 1. Now, this is a bit of an awkward angle to fight into. That's a lot of Hydras back there. The Queens are pulled off the line to deal with it, but it's not looking good, and that's an understatement. More Hydras popping out. The Overlords are saving us from watching the worst of it, as they're kind of covering up the Archons, but it's an absolute disaster. I'm not surprised SHIN tried something kind of crazy in game 1, but, well, it did not. He didn't survive long enough for us to see what he wanted to accomplish. Game 1 decisively goes to Dimao. And now SHIN, well, got that one out of the way at least. It's not even one of those builds. I like to compliment players when they do kind of weird things but lose. Because this early on in the series, it kind of sets the tone. Like, I could do something crazy. You don't know, all right? Dark is a master of this, of putting something out there in game 1 or 2 of a longer series. And then, now that's in the back of your mind, living rent-free. But I don't think Showtime is going to be particularly intimidated by a 1/4-assed Hydra all-in. That was certainly not... In fact, I think confusion would be the... And hurting himself in his confusion, even. Ah, yes, the Moopies. We already knocked the Terrans out of here. You're like, well, where are all the Terrans? Well, they mostly already qualified for the tournament. Actually, about half the tournament is Terrans, 9 out of 18 slots. But moving on. And then we put them in the trash. Next to the gold minerals. There's a lot going on in this map. Post-youth. Much like many of you and many of our players, post-youth is quite a descriptor. But SHIN. Okay. So, SHIN a little early on the gold minerals. Maybe some nerves. SHIN has beaten... Now, if you remember... About a year ago. Was it Solar or SHIN? No, it was about a year and a half. I am Katowice 2023. Oliveira's Cinderella story. SHIN, formerly known as Ragnarok, which personally I thought was a cooler name, but still, beat Cyril in quite a controversial series. A series that when he won, he actually looked confused because Cyril had tapped out so early, but he's been on these stages and these high-profile matches before, but he just suffers from a severe lack of consistency. I think he's capable of beating literally anyone, but I'm not entirely convinced SHIN thinks he's capable of beating anyone. Though, I might be reading into one game far too much. But we're here, and I gotta fill some time. So what am I gonna do? Just beg for likes and subscribes, everyone? Every time? And everyone? Wow. Moving on. That's got to be a bit of a confidence booster, though, for Showtime. How about we try boosting the score as well, because he won the game. Thank you. Sorry about that. Oracle is the choice. I wouldn't be surprised. 4 games, 7 games, anywhere between. I think it's likely we'll see the Oracle opener, all but maybe one of them, as it is just the Swiss Army knife of Protoss. You got early scouting. You force them into anti-air. You keep tabs on whatever sort of early aggression they can do, even if it involves queens. And it has to involve queens, because without any sort of anti-air, the oracles will just kill lings or roaches. Oof. 3 drones killed. Showtime gets out. One of my many, many pet peeves is oracles coming in, getting 1 or 2 kills, and then taking critical and permanent hull damage. But Showtime gets out with 3 kills and still in the yellow. Not bad. It's a solid, tentative thumbs up. Though I do think part of it is Protoss loving to live dangerously. When you have an oracle that's so badly bruised, you don't even risk it anymore. You just have it on defense. It ends up working out because of that. SHIN. Oh, well. Of course. Ends up taking that extra damage, but Showtime with the Twilight and Forge behind. SHIN working on the lair. More drones this time around. It hasn't been such terrible, terrible damage as we saw in Game 1. And now this is the tell. It looks like a blink build. Based on the gas and the way it is. Isn't that neat? But we'll see as the... Oh. Get off my crit! Okay, Brenda, calm down. The Spore Crawler did most of the work. Well, I don't see them claiming credit, Susan. Oh. Sorry. Blink is on the way. The 2 gases at the natural. And especially, well, my God, the advertisements. I mean, if humans love those Nova portraits, why can't the Moopies out on the map? The legally distinct, cute-looking bear things with sticks that kill Terrans in power armor. What could that be referencing? Spaceballs? Blinking +1. The most solid and consistent way to keep the pressure on the Zerg without risking your army. Adept all-ins, definitely risk your army. If they have too many roaches, there's no getting out of that. Blink, on the other hand, allows you to kind of work the edge of the creep. You have superior range to the roaches, and you still have the oracles to cover against the Zerglings. So you do have outright killing potential without the sort of all-in nature of adepts. Charge lots also very committed, as you have to get literally in angry melee range. I don't know why I said it, angry. They're always angry. That's their secret. But another stasis and a proxy gate push. So Showtime, he's actually cut probes. He's at 57 probes. This is not some sort of macro pressure. He's looking to get critical damage done. He's hitting the gold base. SHIN, no chance of defending that. I'm surprised he even took it so early, and maybe Showtime was but he gets it as well. But he gets rid of it immediately. Already Hydra's on the way. The reason you don't usually rush to Hydras, as we partially saw last game, they're expensive. Okay, 50 gas a pop, and they don't. Until you get double digits, they're just kind of a liability. You need those upgrades. You need the range with the groovy spines, currently in production. You need the speed if you ever want to chase anything down or evade it. Eventually, it becomes one of the stronger armies. It just takes a while to get there. And it precludes going for a lot of upgrades or for Ravagers as well. But Showtime pressuring the front. And now, yeah. Showtime building a gateway wall in the middle of the map that successfully zones out the Zerglings. That is Showtime's speciality. Just setting up his bases in a way that really benefits him. Reminds me, maybe because I've been playing a little bit lately, but like of Age of Empires 2 as well. The way he sets up these bases, just making it very difficult for the Zergling scouts to get in and do anything too annoying. Even in the center of the map, so we can use it as a springboard to continually warp in off the super pylon. That stalker count is so damn high, but the Roach Hydra is growing in number. He's going to have Hydraless speed, and that is the important moment here for SHIN. He does not have an infestation pit on the way. Wow, we're really struggling with the words today. Unfortunately, that's my entire job, so working on it. Stalker Zealot, Gateway Man has arrived. And the Roach Hydra should have enough to answer. That's just the biomass right there. And he's getting caught between a rock and a hard place as well. There's no splash damage. Shin's army is just better. He's got the equivalent of the Gateway Man army. The Roach Hydra. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And now Showtime's the one trying to take a gold base, but he does not have the army to defend it. So how the turntables have turned as DJ SHIN is coming in and chasing down the Stalkers. A small Zealot counterattack split off, but SHIN's able to pull back. Plenty of units to defend. Showtime drops down 70 supply, and this isn't it. He needs Storm, he needs Disruptors or something. Well, if SHIN partitions his army into smaller, more malleable pieces, maybe there's a better chance of defending, but SHIN is maxed out. Once again, he doesn't have an infestation pit, he doesn't have a hive. But Showtime has to survive to take advantage of that. And that's going to be the hard part. He doesn't have anything else in production. He's just warping in more Stalkers. He has no more tech, no more upgrades, and no more gold base. He's desperate to get any units out there. In fact, he has 1,100 gas in the bank. This is a precarious position. Stasis is something, but here comes SHIN. This isn't all of it. The Hydras on the southern side as well. The whole army is here. The Concave from the north and from the east. As SHIN, some of the army will be isolated by the Stalkers. Shield Battery Overcharge is already used at the start of the fight here. Showtime will hold for now, as the Roach Hydra has real trouble filing through those small areas. But SHIN's able to replenish. The low economy gaming here. SHIN does have the gold base as well, which should put him at a surprisingly marginal income lead. He's still leaning on that army supply, but Showtime backed up against the himself right now. Probably his most comfortable position. Has to get out there with the Stalkers. That's actually too many Stalkers to recall, I think. At this stage. Like, he can't reliably fit that many Stalkers in a recall if he does want to get out. So have to be, a Contaminate on the +2 ground weapons. A huge move out of SHIN. Really, any sort of tech progression would be incredibly helpful to Showtime right now. Sentry is not really so much tech progression as a stopgap in every sense of the word, as the force fields drop down. Lurker Den is on the way for SHIN, who has begrudgingly made a hive. That's how it feels whenever he makes one. Like, oh god, okay, fine. But I won't make a Viper. I won't do it. Alright. A man has to have principles. And right now, Lurker Den with Lurker range. And this slight delay is giving Showtime an opportunity to potentially stabilize on 4 bases. But he's just now building a rope. He still has the Oracles, which gives him a dream against these Lurkers. SHIN has not outright killed him. The Roach Hydra, though, it's just so much damage. Another wave. Corrosive Bow will knock down the force fields. And the Lurkers are closing in. Right, the Concave is pretty great here. A very good revelation. Actually, Showtime comes around the corner. Stalkers are splitting. There's a chance of defending, but even if he holds this, we're going to have to ask ourselves the age-old question. At what cost? Showtime down to 90 supply against 156 of SHIN. SHIN, who doesn't have such a great economy that he can immediately remax out. He's not playing the 300 supply Zerg. But GG. SHIN strikes back with a vengeance. Showtime's ill-fated gateway timing attack goes up against SHIN's strength in the mid-game. And that leaves us going into game number 3 all tied up. Think about evenly matched. Now that is the sort of strategy that I think makes a little more sense to kind of throw in there. I don't think Showtime will be leaning entirely on the Gateway Man strats. But if SHIN had overcommitted Like, if he tries to get those bases or rely just on even roachling, there's a very good chance that he either kills him or does critical damage and can transition into a much better army. But Shin, more than happy to go toe-to-toe and tail to whatever the sentries have. Snow globe? You get the idea. Moving on. It's going to be 1-to-1. Site Delta, where things will change. There's potential here. I'm feeling a big macro game. We're finally on our first more macro-oriented map. This is our most standard map so far. You can tell they are evenly matched, though focus on different parts of the game. So it's not going to take much for us to get to that late game. Not where one player's kind of pinned down on a mediocre unit composition, but where we actually see the full spread. All right, Showtime. Nothing untoward so far. Nothing I would consider outright cheese. The closest being Shin's Hydralisk Rush in Game 1, but barely qualifies. But barely qualifying still counts, as whoever wins this series should be able to tell you. $15,000 just for qualifying. I'm here casting. Oh, much easier. Stargate on the way. That Oracle control, top-notch throughout. The Oracles are just such a return on investment, both APM and resources. You get more than you put into them, out of them. There's those words again, tripping me up, but Oracles they can fill almost any role in the Protoss army, whether you need defense, offense, those stasis words. We're seeing almost every few months, somebody comes up with a new way for stasis wards to be the next big thing. And then it's promptly countered, but the element of surprise can still be helpful. There was like a year in there where having 3 oracles just camp behind the mineral line, constantly doing stasis, it'll still get thrown in there, but it's predictable in the reaction time. Actually, stasis got nerfed. Yes. Stasis got nerfed not too long ago. Like a year and a half. In the grand scheme of things, it's not too long. So that you can issue commands to units in stasis, even while they're in stasis. They won't move, but they'll follow those commands after they come out of stasis. So say, like, 20 drones get caught in stasis. You can rally them back to mining. Before it was extra valuable, because those drones would be idle after the stasis ran out. So you'd have to go look back, figure out, oh no. And that's why sometimes, or a lot of the time, you'd have idle drones for a significant percentage of the time. But since you can just return them back to where they were, even while they're stasis, it isn't nearly as devastating. Yes, most players at the highest level would very quickly return them to mining, but still, that's an extra delay, an extra bonus. That doesn't mean it's not still good. You see Protoss players, once again, Showtime with the Triumvirate. The treacles, if you would. I wouldn't, but I'm not here to judge you. So. There they come in again. We haven't seen anything even hinting at a queen all-in so far this series. It's just another way you can tell Dark isn't here. Once again, already qualified. Don't worry. Winning GSL will do that for you. Adept Shade in. Not even a shady bunch. Just the 3 Shade Skittier. No. We'll work on it. But the early Adepts to control the situation after the Oracles, just something to force out even more Lings out of Shin. Unfortunately, when you force out more Lings, well, You gotta be careful not to get caught on the field. Showtime gets back before the Lings can punish him for coming so far across. But it worked just as intended, as Showtime has a worker lead, though Shin's about to take that back to an extent. And I think we finally got our mid-game macro game. Templar Archives for Show... You don't have +1. You don't win that, right? Am I done? One of us is. I mean, it depends on what winning looks like to you. 24 Lings for 3 Adepts. You know what? Okay, well, he's still going. I'm 29 Lings for 4 Adepts and 3 Stalkers. They just kept coming, so... finally, the Lord of the Lings has arrived. Archon's already on the way. Shin has 40 Lings on the field. It's not so much the actual cost of the Lings as the larva. The opportunity cost is the important... Oh, look at that pylon place. That pylon actually walls off the Zerglings from getting to that area. And now he's protecting the pylon with a stasis and the gateways. He's not setting up a straight-up wall, but instead a tower defense-style funnel to make sure the Zerglings have to take the most circuitous path possible. And all his literal towers in the form of cannons and anything else he has nearby make it very difficult to get through. But this has not stopped Shin from going for Hydras, Zerglings. Does he have a Baneling nest? Yes. Does he have Baneling speed? Starting, well, it's starting now. Does he have an infestation pit? Don't be silly, it's Shin we're talking about. All right, well, no is the answer. And that wall off. And the wait, he doesn't have energy. I think one of them has energy. Yeah. Just do it. Do it! Do it! What are you waiting for? Okay, well that was too long. That was way too long. He came in and got 5 kills with the oracles. Showtime though, working on the rocks at the Shin working on the rocks at the 4th base. Templar need to make their way over here. Shin just going through the wall. A couple Banelings trickling in, not too much to be concerned about. There are the storms, doesn't damage buildings. But the oh no! Oh my god! It's a disaster! 20 probes! Just exploderated by the... Where did they come from? Where did they go? Where did they come from? Baneling-eyed Joe. Well, he didn't wall it off. I was complimenting the whole tower defense setup, but the thing is, if you don't have enough towers and they leak through, bad things happen. And now you got a serious problem. 185 to 135 supply. The Baneling's coming in again. This time around, the storms will deal with it. So the saving grace here, yet again, no hive. Showtime must survive. Here we go. Stasis in the back. Another beautiful storm. Trying to keep... Oh no, the Templar! A bunch of the Banelings were badly bruised, but they get through far enough. They close the distance on the Templar, and the Hydras are cleaning up the rest. A stasis on the backline, but he's able to pick up. He activates the oracles. GG, though. Shin, 2-1. Oh, no. It's a bit of a disaster, as Showtime is overrun on the field. He set it up so well, but it all came crumbling down. Everybody's great in no rush 10 minutes, but when the Banelings start rolling in, well, in this case, waddling in. Unfortunately, the reaction time, just too slow. And Showtime now, 2 in a row. All right, Jimmy, game 4. Sorry about that. Probe actually, he took the minerals. He didn't just steal the minerals from this area, but this opens up the mining DLC side of the map. here on Alcyone. So now there's like Zerglings and Adepts can just get through. There was a month or two where Zerg players were just taking the gold base in the center. But Protoss learned a pretty cost-effective cannon rush strategy to deal with that. Which is part of the reason why you rarely see too many sneaky hatcheries in this matchup, as cannons, especially cannons where you can't pull your drones to defend, can be quite effective. But unfortunately, Showtime's major weakness, I would say, just at risk of sounding just straight up mean, just a little bit too slow. He set everything up so well. He had all the tech. He had the bases. He had the economy. But he just didn't quite keep up with the Banelings and SHIN's timing. SHIN has a tendency to just throw things at you to see if it sticks. And in this case, those Banelings making it through really undercut everything Diamawa was doing. Stargate again. 4 for 4. I'm still waiting for it. I was really hoping that game would kind of spool up into your dramatic back and forth. But so far, it's been kind of a decisive ending for every game. Not too much give and take. Oracle. I'm just here to be a narrator of the production tab. That's what you fall back to as a commentator. Caster. Commentator makes you sound fancier. Caster's like, and now he's making the legs and chasing them down towards the main. But Zergling speed is not done, so the Adept gets away. It's like, all right. Commentator is now with metabolic boost completed and the Oracle's on the field. Showtime not going to have as much map control as he did just moments ago. But SHIN still has to avoid those dangerous Oracles as Showtime angles for yet another base. Somewhere in between. All right, we'll wear many hats here, figuratively. No hats usually, but the idea stands. Maybe we should sell hats. I hear they sell well. All right, that's what the people want. They never added hats for units to StarCraft 2, which I think was a major missed opportunity. They actually do have little birthday hats, though. For the anniversary of StarCraft, at least one of the years, I believe you could still have them like in the editor, and some custom games have them, where they got little birthday hats for the workers. It's pretty great. All right, the Shady Bunch comes together. Oracles dart back in, 2 drone kills. SHIN building he's just so happy to build Zerg. All right, everybody grab your emotional support, Zerglings. Because things are about to get weird. Yep, that's a lot of links. Gotta cancel that. But the watchtower on the map and the choke point that it represents. There you go. Sit right there. All right, always watching. And a Nidus on the way. Finally, we're gonna get some action with the queens. If you know what I mean. SHIN, not interested in playing that late game macro. You saw how it pained him to go to Hive and Lurkers on post-youth. It ended up working out, but it was not the first, second. It was pretty much like the third choice of ways to end the game. But that Nidus, SHIN's only had 46 workers right now. It doesn't seem to have any intention of adding any more. There's overlords in very suspicious positions. And the queens? Brenda, we're leaving. Somebody call Enda. She's out there near the creep. She's always out there near the creep. I think she likes the Protoss. Shut up, Karen, and get in the Nidus. Oh my god. Ah, it's so cramped. We've arrived. That was fast. 10 probes or 10 drones dead to Oracles, but the Nidus is in the main. And, well, it's just queens here. The Queens, of all the things, recalls back. Zerglings into the Nidus, Zerglings into the natural. Recall, he actually smartly recalled to the natural to make sure they don't get picked off by the Queens. He's targeting the Twilight with Queens, the Forge as well, but I don't think upgrades are really the relevant part of things. Blink is not gonna finish. The Queens are all over the main. The creep is spreading. There goes the Forge. +1 denied. 12 probes down, but he's gonna need to take out more than that to even things up. Another Nidus. Transfuse. Saves the day. Popping out Zerglings. Showtime trying to hold the line. Shield battery overcharge is up in 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Oh my, I'm so bad at counting. Cannon at the third. So far, the Queens are chasing the Protoss out of their own main base. Trying to target the cannon. Shield battery overcharge. Targets the most badly hurt Queen. Takes it out. Could use the Nidus for some micro. Try to chase the Oracles. Knocks out one. Zealots warped in. Showtime pulling together the defense. More Zerglings into the third. But there should be enough gateway units, and the Queens are darting back for the Nidus as Showtime chrono boosts a Nexus that is being overrun by creep. But he didn't actually lay down any creep tumors. Showtime holds. The wall is patched up. And Showtime actually still has more workers, and SHIN just slaps down a Hydralisk Den. So while that was dramatic and nearly deadly, it was by no means game ending. Showtime actually comes out of that with a slight economic lead. SHIN catches up in the worker count. But the saving grace, I guess, is he killed the Twilight and the Forge. But that was supposed to be at least clearing the main, if not a game-winning move. But the Queens didn't quite find the mark. In fact, they didn't have much support at all. There were no Roaches, no Ravagers. It was just Queens and Zerglings, which is get in hard and fast. While those Queens can take a pounding, the Zerglings struggle to get much more done, and Oracles come back around, slice away 7 drones. Now, well, the lack of upgrades hurts. But not as much as being on such a mediocre economy as those. Twilight was he rebuilt the Twilight and the Forge as he was defending his main. Showtime on top of it. And now, Immortals, he's going to have Storm. We got +1 ground weapons. Showtime. Now fully warmed up, it seems. As that attack, likely to kill almost any Protoss player, but he kept his cool. And in fact, he kept 2 out of 3 Oracles alive. He managed to hold his main. He put those that cannon and shield battery that eventually held the main. He built mid-fight, realizing he would have to give up some ground, but unwilling to cede all of it. Lurker Den on the way. Infestation Pit and Hive. Oh, and then Hive. SHIN only 64 drones. He keeps putting huge rounds of drones in production, but they end up not really, well, between having to build more buildings, which costs a drone every time, and the Oracles continually slicing away, he doesn't seem to be able to maintain the economy he needs in order to perpetuate this. So for the first time, we have a game that will get to Hive Tech and 4 bases without either player having a decisive advantage. But if I had to, if you forced me to choose, instead of just maintaining my indecisiveness, I'd say Showtime is in a better position. He has the supply, he has the infrastructure, he has the worker count, and just, he has the momentum of the game itself. As SHIN has to rebuild all of his units and scramble back to catch up. Missile attacks level 1. Just level 1 about to complete. Meanwhile, Showtime been diligently chrono boosting after the Forge died. About to finish +2 weapons. The Lurkers being done. There's a lot of Lurkers. The Storm's over on the right flank. Get through. Oh, a huge Storm into the inner line. Gets drones and Hydras alike. The Archons are powering through with overwhelming strength. and kills a lot of the lurkers. The queens try to patch things together. One lurker in the back, taken out. Observer in a precarious position. Gotta be careful about that. Storm onto the queens. 18 drones dead. Another run of zealots coming through. The queens holding the line, but SHIN has to give it up entirely. And Showtime ties things up 2-2. Strong defense out of Showtime. Holds it together. And the Storm sealed the deal. Showtime all warmed up, and that brings us to Game 5. It now becomes effectively a best of 3. Oceanborn, next on the list. SHIN unable to pull it all together in time. Showtime. It was close, though. If SHIN has that 4th base set up with all those lurkers just a little bit quicker, it's going to be almost impossible for Showtime to break with that sort of supply. But here we are, Game 5. Honestly, I found it a little refreshing. These players are not quite at the Serral. Well, no one's at the Serral level, but at like the. I am loath to mention Hero, because Hero sometimes looks like the best Protoss in the world, and sometimes he looks like he needs to sober up for a few days. Like, it's unclear. But with these players, just making mistakes, small ones, but small mistakes add up. Makes it a lot more entertaining, in my opinion. Watching Serral is like watching the world's most dangerous accountant. He knows exactly what he needs to get the damage done. Whereas SHIN's just throwing things at it. Showtime, scrambling to defend. He's got the solid baseline mechanics. But no plan survives contact with the enemy, and everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. To which most Protoss, especially Showtime, say, well, about that. But the sentiment still applies. And a Stargate again. 5 for 5. SHIN's love affair with Hydralisks continues. We'll see if it ends up helping or hurting by the end. So far, it's about 50-50. Just like the series. Oracles. And he hasn't even deviated. I think he, instead of Blink, he went Charge last game, Showtime. On his second Twilight. Usually you'd follow up Blink with Charge, but because the Twilight died, he decided on Charge as an aggressive move. Now we're gonna kill that first Ovi. Zerglings are coming across. But the Oracle's still there, so. Hello? Is there a Stalker down there? Oh, gets it. And, I mean, the Oracle's just watching, so. They like to watch. Two Adepts. Only 2 so far. And a pretty quick Robo. Now, finally, a bit of deviation. No third Oracle, and he gets a Robo, but still has those 2 gases. Coming up right around 420. What in the blazes? Forge on the... Is this a Colossus build? Because he hasn't started a Twilight at all. I don't... So, while he's still open Stargate, this is certainly a... original recipe here. There's the Twilight. It's gonna get a solid out of me. I'm interested. A little concerned, but also interested, of course. Oh, the Oracle's the Queens closing in, but... +1 on the way. Observer. I'm still just staring at the production tab, waiting to see what Showtime does with that robo. Just Immortals. Did he spot the Roach Warren? He did not. Probably will momentarily with the Oracles. There's no gases, so with no gases at the third, or the natural or the third, I mean, there's only so many options. He's quite limited. It's gonna be charge. Immortal charge lot. Interesting. But going with the robo first, making sure he gets the maximum amount of immortals. Still building probes. There's now on the way for SHIN. Templar Archives, 5 gates. Roach is on the way. SHIN closing in on that lair. Should be Roach speed almost immediately. There it is. And now does he get the Hydra Den that he's been really loving so far. Templar Archives. It looks like Showtime is interested in an all-out attack time. You stop building probes, he got a whole bunch of gateways, but SHIN also has an attack timing coming up, so neither player willing to just skip to the late game, but again, it's going to be mid-game aggression. 13 more drones for SHIN as he starts a Spire and is headed towards Mutas. He did see the robo first, and that might be all it takes for Mutas to potentially be the option. SHIN not ever, like, another option that lets him avoid going Hive. Sign me up, he says. The Zerglings zoning out the 4th base. And the anti-air right now is 2 Archons and 3 Stalkers, which are going to have a tough time chasing down any amount of Mutas. SHIN's building up gas going into the Spire. What is that? A Bane Nest is spotted. Is he going to figure it out? Because right now, there are 2 more gases. This could be Ravager Baneling. Mutas have not been shown. In fact, I think SHIN going Hydras every single game may help him now. Because Showtime not too suspicious of this composition. Probably expecting the Hydras to show up. Storm, a great choice. But there are a dozen Mutas in production, and this is gonna get weird. Because right now, Showtime has an army that could potentially come across the map with Storm and just win any fight. As long as he's willing to pick one on his terms. But 14 Mutas don't have a tendency to play on your terms. Usually the reason we don't see Mutalists is because it's so easy to scout and counter them. It's a very niche scenario when you can make them work before the Protoss gets any wind of it, somewhat puns intended, and starts building Phoenixes, which are one of the hardest counters to Mutas in the entire game, as Mutas are slower and have less range. So the Phoenixes can just kite them literally to the ends of the earth. Unfortunately, the Phoenixes have to exist to do that, as Mutas have hit the natural. 6 probes dead already. Double digits to start. Phoenixes begin production, but Showtime completely in the dark about this. And more Mutas on the way. +2 melee. Lings and Banes are going to be the choice. Showtime bolstering his defenses. He's slapping down the cannons. But the Mutas have hit another base. Ah. 14, 15, 16. Showtime plummets to 74 pro. Okay, he still has a lot of probes. But, and SHIN is still just going Mutas. The Storms softening them up, but they heal fast. That's their whole spiel. The Mutas continue to ransack bases. Still no infestation pit for SHIN. The closer Showtime gets to 200 supply, the better his chance. Obviously, but especially in this sort of composition. The Robo. The Phoenix is trying to fight. 2 is not enough. Fleet Beacon is on the way. The Phoenixes call for aid. As the beacon is lit. The storms are good, but the mutas, something needs to chase them down. SHIN has plenty of money in the bank. He's building more mutas. A muta risk indeed. +1 flyer attack. Charge lot still finding damage. 2,000, 1,000 in the bank for SHIN. Showtime not even maxed out. Stasis locks in a few roaches. The rest of the army is here. Showtime willing to play defense. What do we have out there? War Prism, Optimistic. Mutas catching on the way out. Phoenix count 4 pales in comparison to 27 Mutalisks. 3. Oh, shield battery overcharge is not enough. Oh my god. They do so much damage. He's chasing down the Phoenixes, taunting them. Those mutas. But the mutas ransacking the natural while Showtime bashes through the 5th base. Out at the front. Gonna kill a bunch of drones alongside it. But the mutas are still going to work. Cutting through the infrastructure. Banelings rolling in. Gets a merge with the Templar. And the Banelings aren't able to kill anymore during it. The hive isn't even done. Showtime is bashing down the door while SHIN flew over it to ransack the natural, but the Banelings looking the other way. Oh no! The Archons! And now the Archon count is low enough that the mutas, well, the mutas could come back, but it's a long way to fly home even for the mutas. Down to just 2 Archons and a single High Templar. 15, 17 drones dead. Showtime's natural is gone. Still, though, the Immortals and Archons. Oh, just 1 Archon at this point. The Recall, Optimistic, loses 1 more Immortal. 18 drones dead. 2 bases. How much of the tech as well? He didn't actually lose any tech. And the mutas are still alive. 20 mutas. But the Phoenixes are being built 2 at a time. Snipes off another Archon. Pulse Crystal's almost completed. And that means the Phoenixes will be almost invulnerable to the mutas. The range will be enough that there's plenty of time to pull back before the mutas ever close the distance. And now SHIN reaches for the Hydra Den. He's got a hive done. But at this stage, he needs something to deal with the Phoenixes. Because if the Phoenixes are able to take out the mutas, they can start having run of the economy. And yeah, doesn't even get a single Phoenix. Those Pulse Crystals paying off with intense dividends here. Kind of demonstrating why mutas are such a risk. It was only because of the element of intense surprise that they were able to get this much done. And even then, with the possibly the most ideal scenario the mutas could ever be in any sort of relatively even game at least, they still aren't enough to crack open the defenses and unleash a victory. The mutas will be hunted to extinction by the Phoenixes. He's lost 32 of them. 4 Phoenixes in trade. Lurker Den is on the way. As the economies are still okay, but neither player, again, neither player able to get really to that end game economy. Now the Phoenixes are the threat. Fast-flying units are always going to be dangerous when you have air superiority. SHIN enjoyed it for a while, but Showtime is now the proud owner. High and mighty, if you would. Carrier. In production. 16 lurkers? Sir? Oh my god. Our wings slaughtered. A whole bunch of charge lots waiting. He's lifting lings, which seems like a waste of your talents, but oh no, the pylon was depowered, or the cyber core was depowered as the pylons were taken out. Only found the scouting immortal. Yep, those are Zerg. Good job, sir. SHIN, he's got 5 bases. You still think Showtime giving him... Well, Showtime's maxed out. He has +2 ground weapons. Such a crazy game. Rarely do you get games where you have to just continually take stock. There's nothing that can be taken for granted between these two in this series. Phoenixes lift possibly too many roaches. SHIN replacing them with hydras. That is a dangerous Protoss army. Storms, but the lurkers. The tip of the proverbial lurker iceberg. One carrier is not enough. He yanks in the Oracle. 2 carriers. Blinding Cloud is good. Lifts up a bunch of the lurkers. So far, well, the rest of the lurkers underneath. Does he have a revelation? Parasitic Bomb did intense damage to the Phoenixes, though. And he recalls out. Somehow the Hydras come out on top. They get an extra carrier for their trouble. And oh no. Oh, SHIN, says Showtime. And now it's time for SHIN to show Showtime the power of No, oh my god, I tripped over that sentence harder than Showtime tripped into those lurkers. Wow. Well, fighting directly into lurkers and vipers has always been a tricky proposition. And SHIN showing that this is no exception. I think Showtime was quite confident with that army. He could break through. But he didn't see all the lurkers. He saw like 7 or 8 with the first revelation, but they just kept going. There were 16 lurkers in total. There's still 12 of them. He's rebuilt some, but working through this base. And what looked to be a deadly army from Showtime now matched, on the ground at least, by SHIN. The carrier count continues to grow. And as it does, as long as he's able to keep Templar underneath for some feedback, as well as storms on the Hydralisk, he has a very good opportunity to break through. Does SHIN forget he had a Spire? Ah, it's one of those games. Shit, you made 32 mutas earlier. This game has been so hectic. Oh, there we are. All right, he makes his first Spire grade again. The second one for upgrades. Or he's at least playing it off that way. +2 air weapons about to complete for the carriers. +2 pretty much across the board, but only +1 flyer attack for SHIN. They're both maxed out, but the armies, I think it's because neither of them has been able to set up. Like, there's almost no creep spread for SHIN. And there's really not that much in the way of static defense for Showtime. He shorted up at the 4th base, but oh no, another Immortal gets caught out. A carrier? Get over here. Storms onto the Hydras, but picking off any amount of carriers is devastating. The charge lots, did he consume this base and now the charge lots could potentially finish the job? They go for the drones instead. Now, and more drones over to the north. 14 drones dead right now. The rest of the charge lot, no! He's right-clicked on a lurker. Oh no. Oh, both players struggling. Showtime still with the army to beat, but SHIN is quickly building up a capable defense. And he's building up a bank as well, which means even if the first round is not enough, the second or third could be. Are we going into another semi-base trade? Oh no, he yanks in a bunch of the Immortals. The Phoenixes come in to lift up some of the lurkers, but die immediately. Revelation doesn't cover too much. The carrier gets pulled in. A lot of the Templar are still intact. A difficult fight, but I think SHIN holds there with flying colors. Well, not flying, but speaking of flying, 14 Corruptors on the way. It wasn't that SHIN dominated that fight so hard that, wow, the battle's gone on for 3 minutes. I think we're finally going to get it reset. SHIN has killed 7,434 in resources, 4920. I really should just say the whole number. Anyways, about 5,000 more resources lost for Showtime in those battles. And it's shown now. Let's look at the supply. Oh my god, the probes are transferring. Be careful with those. Oh, some changelings. My life for ire, right, guys? Yeah. Who are we angry at? Who's this ire for? Shh. Shut up. Don't use your mouth. Broodlords on the way. Charge lots. Headed in towards the... Wow, 8 Broodlords. Is there going to be enough... Well, there's only 2 carriers. Showtime has not been able to build up a GG of carriers throughout all of this. We're 21 minutes in. 190 to 200 supply apiece, but it still feels so hectic. The lurkers get behind the mineral line, outflanking the cannon. Another lurker just kind of sauntering through. Meanwhile, here we go again. The carrier's at the natural. And the drones are transferring into them. Showtime is re-expanding to the north side. And, well, a couple of charge lots slicing through drones. Somehow the worker counts are still pretty healthy. He actually lets the drones go. I think the control group was helping out there. Meanwhile, 2 more lurkers headed north. These lurkers, I bet he tried to click on those changelings and was wondering why they didn't move or didn't even notice. Oh no, he pulls in the oracles. Showtime looking the other way. A carrier as well. Showtime being chased down. 27 probes dead. The lurkers. Oh no, it's an absolute economic disaster. Showtime may never financially recover from this. 33 probes dead. He still has the Nexi on either side. But he's lost so much more probes. The defenseless probes. And whose fault is that? 37 probes. SHIN. Wait, we're going around again. Where's everybody going? Come back here, Showtime. We're fighting now. Wait, there's not that much anti-air, but there's no carriers. The carriers are all dead. More probes are dead. Showtime's running out of bases, running out of real estate, and he's just running around the map. But the Vipers! Oh no! He gets a feedback in a storm. He didn't actually feed back the other one. But unfortunately, SHIN still has mining bases. Showtime's down to just one. Gets rid of these lurkers. Okay. That is still an incredibly scary Protoss army. He has 8 High Templar, 8 Immortals. What? Oh my god, there's so little anti-air. The Hydra was just sitting... Probes! Well, it's looking rough for Showtime here. Just struggling on multiple fronts. SHIN is double expanding. Well, he actually finished the base again. How many hatcheries? He's lost 4 hatcheries to 4 Nexi down. Showtime is long distance mining. He's down to 1 mineral pack. No, you don't. He can't even expand. He does not have enough minerals to take another Nexus. So I believe, did he just cancel his +3 flyer upgrades in order to build some more Broodlords? I believe he did. It's do or die time. Showtime literally has nothing to go back to. The production tab is empty. He has not even enough minerals for another Nexus. So that's it. Like, what are you waiting on? Showtime trying to find a fight. This feels like one of those battles that it's already lost almost before it begins. He has... Oh, beautiful feedbacks there. That is a lot of Broodlords. A blessing and a curse at this stage of the game. as the Corruptor count is only 9. There's not that much of an answer. The recall, I mean, the Oracle is invaluable. SHIN barely has any gas. So this isn't impossible for Showtime here. He finally found enough money to rebuild a Nexus. The patience is excruciating. He doesn't have tech to... Where are you going? No, my God! That Tempest! The damage dealt, though. Templar being chased down. The Broodlings nibbling. I don't know. Is that my Broodling noise? I'm both embarrassed and confused. Moving on. It's like high school all over again. Meanwhile, the Hydras... The Corruptors forcing storms on top of the Protoss army, doing friendly fire damage, but the Corruptors taking the brunt of it. The Broodlords are chasing it down, and SHIN outlasts him. Oh, SHIN survives. Both players drawn to the absolute brink. But SHIN will now go to match point. What a devastating game for both sides. Clearly, a struggle across the board. The Mutas swinging in with absolutely no defense and still not enough to turn it around. But at the end of the day, Showtime unable to capitalize. That attack into the lurkers at the initial carriers, just disastrous. Cost him almost every bit of advantage he had and then some. And that means that SHIN now one game away from securing a minimum of $15,000. Game 6. It's harder with 2 hands. That's what... Never mind. Amphion. I don't know. SHIN's throw it at the wall and hope it sticks style up against Showtime's almost too patient Protoss. SHIN just getting the better end of things. Think Showtime needs to be a bit more decisive. Now, it might be like, well, he was decisive when he attacked directly into lurkers. Well, he should have known better on that one. Getting a revelation and seeing 8 lurkers, you never see all the lurkers. Any good Zerg will tell you that. You'll never see all the lurkers. It's like roaches, okay? If you see 2 of them, well, you should be very concerned because there's probably 100 more. Are you talking about real life or StarCraft? ¿Por qué no los dos? Sir, this is a message from the Hatchery Owners Association. We don't like your kind around here. Brenda, I don't think they can hear you. I don't think Protoss have ears because they don't have mouths. I don't think that's right, actually. I think they can hear. They just they can't talk. I'm not debating physiological restrictions with you, Brenda. Not since the accident. Hey! Sorry. I blacked out for a second. Oh, Oracles. A shocker. Oracle 6 for 6. Going to be the Oracle opener. We saw the immortal timing attempt. Undercut, or I guess overcut heavily by the Mutas. He mined through the mineral wall to take that pocket base. Let's see if Showtime tries to take advantage of that somehow. Already does, considering it seems to work out better for the Adepts than for the Queens. This actually creates a really awkward scenario. Bit of an own goal kind of situation here. Not exactly sure why SHIN would take this base first against a Protoss who has Adepts and Oracles. It's a bold move. We'll see if it works out for him. Oracle comes in. There is a spore. Gonna get 2 drones and get out. Not too bad. Queens. Oh, chasing down. 3rd base for Showtime. Oracles will save the Adepts. Only lights up 1. Appreciate that. Saving the energy on the other. Cost 25 energy just to light them up, so... Bro Torn on the way. SHIN. Yeah, we still haven't really seen... Well, we've seen a whole lot of avoiding Hive Tech until you really have to transition. And even seeing the Greater Spire and the Corruptors. The Triumvirate of Oracles here. Keeping tabs on things. Lairs on the way. Not early, not late. Precisely when he means to. Twilight and Forge. Very likely to be Blink yet again. Back to basics here for Showtime. Trading out the Oracles. There's the Blink. There's the +1. Oh my god. What a stasis. Not that it's gonna make a huge difference. Hello? Oh my... Could you get out of the way? I know. SHIN gonna try to take... Wow. He just slaps it down right in his face. Come on. That's... Sir. Sir. Just... No. No. You're not gonna... Is he really just gonna let it go? Alright. Maybe he just wants to kill with Blink Stalkers. Because that is an ambitious Oracle. No, he's not going Hive. There's no way. That's Swarm Host right there. I've never seen a more Swarm Host infested infestation pit in my life. Some real SHIN here. He's just rushing Vipers for some reason. No. Maybe a couple Infestors against Blink Stalkers. I still think that's a bit of an underutilized strategy. The Infestors to take down the Stalkers. But Showtime has enough Stalkers to force the issue. SHIN only has 68 drones. Enough to continually build units off 4 bases, but not reliably tech up behind it. SHIN actually hard supply blocked from losing one of his scouting overlords. Not an ideal scenario to be in. Showtime, not that much supply in jet. That's a lot of roaches. And there's 7 Swarm Hosts in the production tab. Sir Richard and his merry band of brethren. Not the accident anymore that he once was. And this map, where you have the close air distances, Showtime just let him have that 9 o'clock hatchery, so... But the Swarm Hosts are just gonna walk across. Can they get through? I'm pretty sure they can get through there. If a Queen can get through there, the Swarm Host can get through there. Let's be honest. Hey! I don't... Yep. That one space. The roaches still zoned out. Stasis and observers. Let's get the Showtime reaction here. He sees the Swarm Hosts. Warping in more Stalkers. Awkwardly, the... I thought they outright walled him off. But this certainly will delay the Locusts. As, pulls back. Oracles, of course, move out of the way. Warp Prism comes in. A wave of Locusts, but there's already a cannon and a shield battery. Not a permanent solution, but something to just zone out the Swarm Host while Showtime works up towards a more capable army. And the Oracles have been building up energy for quite a while. Just burning through the Ravagers here. And, not surprising, as there's no other anti-air. For the first time, no Hydras at all for SHIN, and that means the Oracles just have a field day. The Locusts make it in towards the natural, the ones that were in the stasis. The Swarm Host able to launch them away. Showtime's counterattack looking strong, though. The army supply exceedingly misleading, as the swarm hosts just taking up so much supply on their own means that the actual standing army that SHIN has to deal with Showtime right now is relatively minimal. About 30 out of 122, so still a lot, but... Another Nidus. Swarm hose Nidus. A classic tactic. Did you know if you have headphones, well, directional sound, you can actually hear where the Nidus is coming from? And that is used by many players to find it out on the map and determine. Obviously, you could kind of narrow it down based on where you can't see. But actually hearing the direction of the Nidus and the distance is quite applicable. Base is under attack. Let's go to the Showtime cam. Listen for it. Where could it be? I don't know if that actually translates over the recording. But here we are. Just trust me, bro. I hear Niduses in my sleep. It's a real affliction. Brainworms. Well, there's a lot going on right now. The Locust hitting the third base. Shield battery overcharge. Actually, no overcharge right now. It's on cooldown. It doesn't get through much of the hull. The shields are stripped away, though. And the Stalkers in charge lots. The Gateway Man Army, 34 Stalkers and 16 charge lots right now. Lurker Den about to complete. Hive is done. Finally, pops back into the escape Nidus. Finally, Showtime gets around to dealing with this base. The Swarm hosts at point blank range, though the Zealots, you can't stop the Locust from swooping at that range. Zerglings up to the north side will take out a base. A Nidus at the third. He's just now realizing, will there be time to pop out the Swarm host? He's not going for it. The charge lot should be able to deal with it. Roaches, Hydras, Locusts. The base is still alive over here, but there's not enough army supply to actually deal with it. And Showtime nearly maxed out himself. Bringing the Stalkers down. Roaches and Hydras looking to match him. Coming down the ramp into a concave. Not a great fight for Showtime, but still pressing the issue. Colossi and Archons will chew into the Zerglings and lose most of them, or take out most of them on the way by. 2 more robotics facilities on the way. 10 lurkers in production for SHIN. A last-ditch line of spine-based defense. But right now, Showtime looking to break his back. Down goes the 9 o'clock base, and Showtime looking for more. Few Zerglings making their way through. Immortal stuck in the main because of a poor rally point. It's a house immortal, all right? It's important to have one at home. It's a display of wealth and hubris and poor rally points. I don't know if there's a warp prism to save it or if he'll notice it at any point, but the Nidus is across the board. And the entire army... Oh, come on, guys! The Zerg traffic jam. A 1-lane road for the entire Zerg army. A 1 lurker-wide gap. He actually just lays down a lurker line, but right now, Swarm hosts, or Showtime. Did you know Showtime? Actually, a lot of the letters that go into Swarm hosts go into Showtime's name. But a lot of them don't, so that's kind of dumb as well. Moving on. Sometimes I astound myself in my own confusion. The hatchery. Oh my god. Okay. Can we take a pause? The Nexus. The probe den. The ancient pyramid of alien... Wait. That's the History Channel. I'm sorry. Well, Showtime now stabilized for the most part. He has 72 probes to just 58 drones, but the Swarm hosts skew everything. The Swarm hosts even existing still makes this a confusing metric. SHIN has barely any gas in the bank. Showtime has plenty. He actually just flew right over all of the stasis, which seems like a bit of a design flaw. But he kills the Nidus network. And that means the swarm hosts have to pop out, well, really anywhere else. I don't know how many Nidoswarms there are on the map. Just the one! And now the swarm hosts are trapped on the other side of history. Oh, at least they didn't all get deleted from the game outright, but now the swarm hosts boxed into that corner. The Nidus was actually in such a frontal location. We'll see if he rebuilds it. 10 more lurkers on the way. Fleet beacon. SHIN is maxed out, but this Protoss army is something that, well, he needs every single one of those 22 lurkers to deal with. That is a ridiculous amount of lurkers. They've got all their upgrades, plus 3 missile attacks, which does apply to the lurkers. Ranged attacks, I guess. Really should just be ranged attacks. He walls off the mineral wall, quarantining that area. Still has those swarm hosts locked in there. Whips out another wave. And stasis will help time out those short lives. Does he have an overcharge? Yo, the Locust, hello! Oh my god! It, the last possible second, 21 HP. Like 2 Locust attacks. They have ridiculous damage. There are 2 Nexi right now, with like 150 HP between them. In fact, most of Showtime's Nexi have taken some form of damage. But finally, the swarm host will be hunted to extinction. Another lair tech unit removed from the game by Showtime in this series. Meanwhile, coming through, the lurkers on the front line will finish what the swarm host started, assuming they can focus on this nexus at all. That's so many overseers. I can't even tell how many lurkers are underneath. But enough seems to be the answer. And swarm host, Showtime is not even bothering to engage the lurkers in that position. Instead, it's going to go for the full base trade. Some of the overlords getting taken out. SHIN no longer has the ability to get to 200 supply for multiple reasons. There are carriers on the way. Showtime with no detection. He kills the lurkerdom, but the lurkers themselves are going to be difficult. He just warped in 12 High Templar, an entire conclave. The carriers will never see the light of day unless for some reason the lurkers let them. He almost finishes one. The fleet beacon is vulnerable. The base trade continues. How did it come to this? Where did the rest of the lurkers go? Oh, he took them out because he has an oracle here for detection. But meanwhile, the natural's gone. 26 more hydras on the way, but they're completely disjointed. Most of them pop out of the main. 1 Colossus is incredibly helpful. Still going with stasis. There's nothing to defend SHIN's outlying base. The lurkers are eviscerating the production. But it looks like Showtime going to lose most of his important units inside the main base of SHIN. Even a drone getting in on the action. 33 drones are dead. This hatchery almost, well, if he focuses on it, it should go down. But he's going to lose most of his army. Oh, there's still a whole bunch of immortals. Showtime is the one now supply blocked. He's lost so many pylons in the main, and the Nexus as well. And SHIN has just Hydras and Lurkers. Well, he also has 5 Swarm Hosts. Wait, why are there still 5 Swarm Hosts? And a probe over here. Oh my. Sounds like a new 3 seasons and canceled TV show on Netflix. The heart of the swarm. Romantic comedy. Both players now horribly supply blocked for reasons mostly not their own. The lurkers are saved from the storm by the stasis. Here come the swarmos are getting in on the action. More storms. Throws them back. Still 1 Archon to lead the charge. +3 and +1 armor and shields. But the weapon upgrades are so helpful here. The Immortals looking to bash through. The Lurkers will burrow, but the Immortal Core just obliterating the Lurkers. Showtime still has the economy and the supply, and I think that means he still has a chance to qualify as we're going to Game 7 after another ridiculously hectic match. How much? Oh my. Really not that much gas lost overall, but all over the place. But eventually Showtime is able to stabilize with only his outer 3 bases left over. Well, here we go. Game 7. All tied up. I thought these two would be evenly matched. And it does seem like their stylistic... their styles are coming through quite clearly here. With Showtime, patient and almost overly comprehensive defense. And SHIN with just reckless aggression. And so far, they've both been able to put up an even amount. But only one more map. I won't even say game, because if it's a draw, which is exceedingly rare in this matchup, any matchup that doesn't involve buildings flying to a corner, it's exceedingly rare. But it would just be this map replayed twice. Ghost River will decide it all. Thank you for sticking with me throughout. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary. This match has been so confusing. I apologize for confusing literally the names of everything. I noticed it several times over, but as soon as... It's one of those things. As soon as you notice you're doing it, that makes it worse. It's like the first time I called Showtime Swarm Host, it was bad. But then I noticed I did it, and it got worse. And you just keep leaning. It's like... No, don't say anything. You're just going to keep doing it then. Moving on. Like and subscribe for a speech therapist or, I don't know, an acupuncturist or something. Don't know which would help more. Exhausting. Mentally and emotionally. I think, therefore I am. But also, I want to see Showtime do well. Showtime, one of those players who's always played so... The way he plays just seems correct. Okay. And it's not just because he's decided to do Stargate 7 out of 7 games in a row. But he clearly has such a great understanding of the game. It's just, and I can empathize. Doesn't seem like the hands always keep up. Just a little bit slow on the response to some crazy attacks or baneling run-by, stuff like that. And that has compounding effects as the time goes on. But SHIN is also such a wild card. If anyone is going to give Cyril a challenge, well, it's probably Clem, but maybe Dark. But SHIN has done it before. I will say Showtime has probably been the best punching bag in the history of modern StarCraft 2. You see Showtime in a game, in one of these videos, and you know it's going to be an entertaining series. Not always that Showtime wins. In fact, I'd argue, especially against many players, probably unlikely, but he has a tendency to make the games very dramatic. So here we are at Game 7, which, in and of itself, about as dramatic as it gets. Get out of the way. Oracle, gliding by. I love the vibe of this map. Ghost River. You can see the reflections in the river. I mean, just trust me, bro. I might have reflections turned off because they hurt performance a bit. So, maybe shouldn't be pointing that out. But I like the variety, just of the look and feel of maps we have in the current pool. Yeah, they all play. Honestly, one of the most diverse map pools, which pro gamers have a tendency to hate. But we've gone from Dynasty, in that crazy timing, all the way here, which our smallest map, actually. Only 6 bases aside, compared to the 7 or 8. Sometimes with a 9th contested base. I believe Golden Aura has that. Means this game will likely be decided more quickly since there's only so many options for expanding. But that means like a cap of 30 minutes instead of 50. Part of the reason, that's also part of why it's so hard to schedule StarCraft tournaments, is because this, oh, you can see the reflection. What am I saying? It's just hidden by like the ghostly ethereal fog over there or whatever. It's just Vespine smog, all right? Just try not to breathe too much of it. But yeah, this series could have easily been like 40 minutes. We've seen GSL finals that have ended in 30 minutes or less of actual game time. Much to the dismay, I'm sure, of whoever was organizing. We're looking at that Maru versus Zest series. But we're getting our money's worth, metaphorically, our likes and subscribes worth here, as both these players fighting hard. And you can see the stress in the gameplay, too. There's these little mistakes that they probably wouldn't make in latter games. Whether it's random units kind of being misrallied or getting caught out. A little bit of extra supply block, but... Or attacking your Brenda! Stop! Just tested. Yep, it works. Robo Bay on the way. Neither player willing to commit to a particularly early timing. Infestation pit. And a Hydra Den. And for the first time, SHIN will just speed run the hive. And for the first time, Showtime. Oh my. We'll go Disruptor. So both players teching up at maximum speed. Showtime going to try to leverage the Disruptors into an early victory. Whereas SHIN, access to Lurkers and Vipers. What he needs to deal with it. Though he might not know about the Ruptors yet at all. Showtime seems to be holding him close to the chest. At least until he has the number he's looking for. Maybe 4 of them? I wouldn't wait much longer than that. Yeah, Overseer coming in. Wondering exactly what he's dealing with. And ooh, the Adept caught and killed. No charge yet. Still pretty far out. The Disruptor count is growing. He's about to... Is he going to spot the Disruptors come out? I believe he will. We're going to the SHIN cam. I don't think he saw him. He's looking. It could be Colossi. Either way, the response is going to be Vipers. Or should be Vipers. As either can pull either the Disruptors or Colossi out of the composition and into the waiting jaws of the Roaches and the Hydras. 4th base on the way. Ruptors and a Stasis. So both players with their freshest strategy in the final game are going to have all the tech online. Templar Archives is done. Charge, +2. Vipers, Lurkers. Both players entirely capable of annihilating their opponent's army in seconds, if it's even slightly out of position. Alright. Big stasis on the Zerglings. Zoning Ruptor. Charge lots come down to defend. 4th base, very important for Showtime here. Does not want to get pinned back. The Hydras. Still no Lurkers yet. Probably doesn't want to commit to Lurkers until he knows exactly what he's dealing with. Lurkers being a static defender for the most part. Vulnerable to the Disruptors. Here come the Vipers, though. He spots him. Gonna be quite surprised to see him so early on. Yanks out a Disruptor and 2 Immortals, 3 feedbacks, but unfortunately, not only do they not kill the Vipers, but also the damage is already done. 11 Lurkers on the way. Showtime bolstering his defenses. The wall is coming together. Storm is completed. He's got plenty of Templar. And sitting in the middle of the map. Both sides maxed out. Working on +3 attack. Once again, on both sides. What do we got to the south? A couple roaches coming in. Nidus network in production. Looking for some big lurker backstab, ideally. Fleet beacon. Second Stargate for Showtime. Slaps down a revelation. Spots the lurkers. The Vipers have recharged. The Zealots fighting Zerglings. Doing quite a good job of it. The Zerglings will eventually overrun them. How many disruptors? 3. He gets feedbacks on most of the Vipers. That lurker count, though, getting real chunky here. 16. That is all the important units are sitting right in the front right now. There's a Nidus at the back. Spotted and dealt with. The threat is there. And a mothership. For the first time. Now, we've got... Jimmy, we finally have something for this. If you consult this diagram, you'll know more about the mothership. You see here, this diagram will show you a mothership. Notice, it's made out of paper. Important to note. Meanwhile, the lurkers coming in towards the south. The base already being overrun. A lot of the army caught on the other side of history. Blinding Cloud forces the Immortals forward. Storms are good, but the Templar are going down quickly. Disruptor Volley is fired off. Blast through. Does he have detection? He has it over most of it. Showtime taking terrible, terrible damage, but SHIN will lose every single lurker. 25 Hydras in production. 64 Zerglings as well to fill in the gaps. And Showtime may have helped, but at what cost? He killed 16 lurkers. Well, honestly, Showtime ends up killing a lot more gas. I think not the decisive victory he was hoping for, but the fact he was able to defend and keep that base alive is, Oh, SHIN forgot adrenal glands. But then again, it is SHIN playing, so... Notorious. Why are the disruptors here? No! And the Immortal. Oh no, being hung out to dry. And here comes SHIN with another round. But the mothership with active cloak. Unfortunately, a single overseer. And that mothership is made out of paper. We already established this. Oh no, SHIN closing in. The army coming apart. The Hydras and Lurkers are too much. GG. SHIN 4 to Showtime's 3. A decisive attack. Another wave. And Showtime just unable to put the defenses back together in time. The mothership. An unceremonious death. Only seconds before Showtime is knocked out of the series. It wasn't his last chance. There's still the losers bracket. But SHIN will be one of our last qualifiers. The Esports World Cup. $1 million tournament. Next month, August. So, congratulations. A long road ahead, but still. At least this hurdle cleared. An exhausting series. But hopefully an entertaining one that made your day just a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon. And let me know if you don't see it up there and you are on Patreon, because Jimmy is pretty bad about updating it. So apologies on that. I'll try to get that set. Otherwise, I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.